Hello, everyone. How are you? And thank you for calling the Transatlantic Call-In Show here on the line. I'm here with Dr. Ben and myself, Josie. How are you, Dr. Ben?
The world is falling apart. And I think everyone is having daily panic attacks about it. But we're here. We're here to talk about the things that are falling apart. And you can call in and tell us what you think is falling apart. And if you think that, trans people are the reason why it's falling apart, you need to give us a call today because we want to talk to you.
Yeah, and that number to call in is 720-619-2288, or you can call in on the web link in the description. Yeah, so definitely call in if you can. And also like and subscribe as we are really nearing our 200,000 subscriptions. That's pretty exciting. So yeah, how about we go ahead and start with last week's poll? So, do you think Democrats will forfeit trans healthcare to the GOP in order to reopen the government? Dr. Ben, what do you think?
Yeah, this is a whole situation of I have no faith in the Dems right now. I have even less faith in the GOP right now. So it's it's a situation of I would love it if they didn't forfeit us, but I don't have a lot of confidence that they won't. So I feel like yes is a pretty reasonable answer from the audience, but I feel like maybe you have a bit more in depth of a take on this, just because you're more well versed in the political situation.
Yeah, I mean, one of the things that is most likely to happen is that the Democrats would just forfeit all healthcare to reopen the government.
Yeah.
But I will say that they are holding stronger than expected, which is something. So we'll see how things go. The most Americans are now blaming the Republicans for the shutdown, so we may be able to see some things happen there as well. But yeah, trans healthcare actually isn't on the chopping block as an item that they're willing to like Republicans just want to cut all healthcare subsidies, which will increase certain people's healthcare who are on the ACA upwards to 20%, if not 40, 50% in some cases as well. So it's a really, really scary perspective of where we are in our country right now. So yeah, so we'll preview this week's poll before we get into our first call. So should the Supreme Court allow torture by striking down Colorado's conversion therapy ban? Um, yeah, so think about that one, and we'll discuss it as later on the call. But this is our world now. This is what the United States looks like. So yeah, scary, scary world.
Mhm.
So yeah, excuse me. I am like I just ate pasta, so it's like I don't know why, like, I just, like I ate so fast, like, right before the call, before we got on here, I was answering an email for work, I was trying to eat lunch, trying to throw makeup on before the call, and then just kept hearing Ben and Arden talk about, a silly little noisemaker the entire time as I was trying to hold up the sky, um,
Yeah.
but, but I did make it, which is important. And maybe
Yes.
if you're lucky, everyone, we can hear the noisemaker that we are discussing, because it is quite funny to say the least.
Maybe it'll
All
be
right.
a super chat thing. If we get enough super chats, we'll do the punishment
Ooh,
and get the noisemaker. That would be
ooh,
fun.
that would be
Yeah.
fun. Also, if you how did we do super chats? Oh my god, it's in the background now. Oh my god. The sound of nightmares. So basically, If you want your super chat read, you have to donate $5 or more. Hashtag Team Ben, hashtag Team Josie, and at the end of the show, we will try to defend an absurd position that we have to defend vehemently for 2 minutes. Also, just a quick plug for myself as well. As a lot of you know, I am running for elected office here in Montgomery County. So if you want to donate, please do. We are closely approaching $25,000 raised, and people are starting to pay attention. This race has gotten big really quickly, and it's a lot of it is thanks to the audience here on the line and TACIS in particular. So keep it up, and also it's donate Zerba/Zerba. Come on, like you got to donate to Zerba. That's how it works.
Yes,
The
and
unofficial
and
mascot.
we yeah, and we have open lines. I know, like, later on the show, it tends to get pretty full. So if you want to get a call in, like, do it now before people flood everything. So, like, you have a great opportunity to talk to someone who is knee deep, more than knee deep into the political situation. So if you have, like, I know we kept getting calls about people's specific political situations like in previous episodes, and it's harder when Josie is not here because she knows so much about this. So please, like, get in your calls now
Yes.
if you want to talk to Josie about any of that.
Yes, let's go. Always happy to talk about some
Yeah.
politics because I am always locked in. If I like it or not, I am I'm in it.
Yeah.
Damn tism. Anyways,
Yeah.
so why don't we go ahead and take our first caller with Ellie, she, they pronouns from Florida. Make sure you're here. Hello, Ellie. You are live on the line. What would you like to talk to us about?
Hey y'all, it's good to hear from you. I wanted to talk to you about um, basically, let's see here. I recently went to a university town hall as a student and was, voicing concern about some policy regulation changes that the university is making in regards to aligning with Florida's regulations about sexual harassment, hazing, discrimination, and the gist of it is that they're removing the term gender and sticking with just what's the other term? I cannot talk right now. I'm so sorry. But, anyways, I hope you're getting what I'm putting down. But like, I'm just wanting to talk about like town halls, my frustration with feeling powerless, what to do next, and I have thoughts, but I wanted to hear what your thoughts were and suggestions first.
And, like, just to add in there for the audience so that they can catch up a little bit, I'm guessing this is in relation to the executive order that was saying that they have to remove gender pronouns, all of that, like, from certain things, and Florida's kind of gone along with that. Is that specifically the issue
Yeah,
you're talking about?
that probably aligns with what they were talking about. If I'm being totally honest, they didn't cite what federal and state mandates were forcing them to kind of remove gender terminology. Their big thing was at this town hall, at least, was like, yeah, we're just removing redundancy and adding clarity to our policies and regulations. And the student body that was there at this town hall was like, yeah, bull crap, like that doesn't align with anything you're saying. Anyways, yeah. So I don't know. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, yeah, I just wanted to clarify that piece. So,
Yeah.
Josie, do you have
Yeah,
specific thoughts?
yeah. So just to clarify, one of the things that essentially what you're saying is there was a public town hall, or are you planning on attending a town hall that's trying to change this regulation in the student handbook? Is that essentially what you're talking about?
Yes. So they took
Okay.
feedback. This is past tense. The town hall's already
Okay.
happened. They took feedback from the students and from the people, concerned people in the city or whatnot, and they did some minor modifications and then had the town hall. I went to the town hall, and the overwhelming response to everything we were concerned about, right? Like they're removing Juneteenth as a um, holiday for the campus, and as another example. But um, coming back to gender, like their thing was like, our hands are tied. We have to follow state and federal regulations and laws and such. So that was kind of how it went.
Yeah. So first off, you always try to use as much of your power as a community to try to get things done. So it sounds like they were just informing you of what the changes were, and there was no input process. Is that what what is that what I'm sensing?
I mean, they took feedback from what we submitted, through their approved channels of communication for feedback, and also at the town hall, they were like, "Yeah, we hear you." Um, but it just the sense that I got, and I could be wrong, but the sense that I got from everything was, our hands are tied. We as a university are not going to make an attempt to stand up for our student body, um,
Mhm.
that is being, targeted with this stuff. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yes, it
Yep.
does. So we are in a very, very tough time right now in American
Hmm.
history, as we are going against a fascist regime that has already used its tools to essentially censor, bully, tell, especially around universities, to say this is how we have to do it, or else we'll lose our money. So therefore, we won't be able to do, the basics of education. And it is a situation where we are essentially kind of losing everything that we kind of held dear, as far as like, okay, well, there's a democratic process, and universities in some places, especially I can imagine in Florida, are kind of the first ones to kind of say, yes, give us our federal money, we'll do whatever you say, just please give us our federal money. And that's kind of where we are at this point. I think it's important to take note that when these changes happen, that you know that these changes happened, but also understand that when you have clubs and you have organizing, that you do the thing that is the most proper way to do it, which is what I mean by like making sure you don't harass people, make sure that you call people by their gender identity, make sure that you have that opportunity to speak your mind and the truth. But it's going to be a lot of organizing and getting together in groups at the university to kind of essentially have places that are safe to be able to do it. When we are in this moment, I think, when we talk about college and university, in my opinion, is a place where we're supposed to be able to practice our ability to do things in our adult lives. So a lot of times it's student government, and getting involved with that, starting a club or organization, because those things exist once you get out of college as well. This is another training ground, and that's how I would attempt this. If like we are going to try to organize to change university policy to be better serving of our student body. It's the same thing that activists have to do now in the government, where we are trying to enact better policy to make the government a better place to its citizens. And so I'm really trying to squeeze this lemon to make some lemonade here, but this is a microcosm of what we are experiencing at the great in the country at large. And this is an opportunity for you and others to understand how to organize, because once you're out of college, we're going to need you in the fight for organizing at a grander scale, either be it local city politics, county politics, state politics, federal politics, and even when it comes to legal advocacy as well, in the Supreme Court type stuff. There are so many facets and tools that you're going to be able to learn here that I hate to say are lower stakes, but this is an opportunity to do so. Um, I really, I don't know if I squeezed that lemon hard enough there, but it's definitely something that you can kind of think of here. But yeah, it sucks. It's awful. It's terrible,
So,
and it's
eh,
happening all the way down.
yeah, yeah, and I guess like really, obviously, the initial part of why I wanted to call was I wanted to vent about that feeling powerless in that situation. But furthermore, really, what I'm seeking in this phone call or this interaction is like, do y'all have tips for, you know, efficiently and effectively community organizing and such? Like, I have some experience, right? But I just feel kind of like I'm building from the ground up. Like we do
Mhm.
have a student government association that has a president that sits on the board of trustees. Not to like over detail this, but and my understanding of anyone that's on the student government, like they're um, restricted in what things they can discuss publicly and stuff like that. I don't have like a firm grasp on it, and it's not like my, focused area, if you will, of study. But like all the same, this is affecting me and the people I care about, and so therefore, I'm trying to raise awareness in my classes, speaking out whenever I find out about things. I'm trying to humanize myself and my experience with classmates that I feel safe in sitting down with them and saying, hey, here's my experience and, hearing each other out sort of thing. And then furthermore, like linking organizations that, I think there's like a need for collaboration amongst the various organizations on campus. But beyond that, like, do y'all have tips? Because it just feels really overwhelming. Yeah, thanks.
Yeah, so do you have a college Democrats or a college political organization that is outside of the student government?
Hmm. That's an interesting question. Someone, a classmate of mine, is working on trying to establish a charter chapter for the
Uh-huh.
new Democrat Socialist organization. I think that's the name of the.
Great.
Uh, they were big in the
Wonderful.
50s or 60s. Do you know who I'm talking about?
Yeah, yeah, the DSA. And there's also the
DSA. Yes.
Democratic Socialists of America. You can create a college chapter of that. You could also create a college chapter of the College Democrats. You could do all of the above. And
Yeah.
creating a safe space where you can talk about these policies that get really nerdy about, hey, we need to change campus policies. We need to change the college handbook. This is a good way for you to get established within the actual real world of politics as well as the student body level of politics. It is not easy. This is incredibly difficult. I will say that one of the first things that I ever did in college was establish the College Democrats at San Diego State University. I did that a long, long time ago. Still exists to this day. And it's one of those situations where you have an opportunity to do something that is administrative, meaning chartering, meaning getting recognized by by the actual university itself. That allows you to feel like you're getting something done. It's really, really hard to not have something where you can kind of have something that is a victory, even if it's a small administrative victory where you have the ability to exist on campus. That is still a victory. Then at that moment, it's your opportunity, once it's chartered, to start recruiting membership and getting more people involved. And then at that point, you can actually start creating the levers of power to maybe even thinking about getting somebody elected into the student body. As you said, they are a part of the meetings. So now you have a voice inside of the room. Now, again, this is one way you can do it. I am incredibly politically nerdy when it comes to like administrative systems. So for me, I'm always looking at ways to get into the machine and figuring out ways to actually start moving things within. But a lot of times that's a little slow moving and less gratifying because it's like, okay, I did the thing. It took me 2 years to do, and now I'm trying to move this one little policy just a section to the left, just a teeny bit, and that takes a long time to do. Or you can also use those organizational bodies where you can actually start organizing actions where you're like, okay, we're going to have a huge party in the quad. where we're trying to say democracy on the campus, right? And then you can have more people show up where it's more people oriented and actually have those as your goal measures as well. It's essentially how all I'm saying is, as a tip, to create some administrative university recognized organization that you can fundraise through, that you can actually have campus authority to be able to exist on, to create a vehicle for any type of action that you want to do. Be you want to get more involved in the administrative system of the college, or you want to be more direct action. I'm going to get a ton of people in a room to protest and do something that is going to be more gratifying in the moment or maybe more large. I will say in this political environment, though, direct action is much more risky than trying to sneak in covertly to try to change things through the inside. I feel like I'm an Andor progressive a little bit, where I just have to kind of like go in covertly, go into the system and slowly tweak the things that create the cracks that break the empire's grip on the world. But again, I've been doing this for nearly 2 decades, so I have a very specific view of how I look at this, and you're just starting your journey. So you just got to figure out where you fit in that organizational structure. And I will say this one thing, because you did say I have other things I'm trying to study and do all. If I wasn't political, I'd probably be a university professor myself. But because the world is completely on fire, and I have the skill set of political organizing and understanding, that's why I'm inherently political. My nature is not to be like, I'm the best, pick me, I'm the one that can save us all. That's not my nature. I am not that type of person, but because I have the skill set that I know that will help bring better democracy to the country, that's why I take that route. If everything was great, I'd probably just be a university professor doing academia or something, or maybe an entertainer. I don't know. But there is a situation where you have to you have to have a calling to this type of work. So really just sit with that. You're a university, you have the opportunity to sit with it and think about it deeply. So I know I just threw a ton of stuff at you.
No, absolutely. And I'm gonna go back and re-listen to this on YouTube. But like, I I appreciate what you said and what you've offered up, and I totally get where you're coming from as far as like, things being more ideal. I wouldn't be in the position that you were saying that you wouldn't be in the position you're in right now, and like you'd be doing something else. Like this isn't necessarily your interest, but you found a calling, and I totally get that because I'm pursuing like a therapeutic clinician type of role in my field of study, and I'm feeling myself pulled like um, farther back to more of a like big picture, like how do we address the systems, the policies, and all that good stuff. Like it's um, yeah, I don't know. I'm just finding my niche throughout my journey in college, and doing my best to advocate. And I appreciate you guys. Thank you.
Yeah, I learned more out of class than I did in class in college. I got involved in the extracurriculars, and I think that was much more helpful for me than the actual stuff that I learned in class, even though I was a big nerd and I loved everything I learned in school. But as far as that, I think that there's a lot of opportunity on university campus to get that real life experience with low stakes, rather than going into a city and trying to run for office is a much different process than trying to do that locally in your school. So yeah, Dr. Ben, do you have anything you want to add?
No, this is way outside my wheelhouse, and I really appreciate Josie being here because I mean, like Josie is saying, you kind of have a calling for this, or you like Josie has so much experience with it, and I'm not going to Dunning Kruger my way through and give you advice that is going to maybe be harmful. So I'm fine taking a back seat on this one.
Great. So Ellie, I really appreciate the call though. I hope it's helpful.
Yeah,
Good
I
luck.
yes, absolutely. No, that's it. That's all I had. But I just wanted to
Okay.
say thank you.
All right. Stay safe, okay? All right.
Okay,
Talk
bye
to you
bye.
later. Bye. Okay. Great. Um do I guess should we take another call before we get into last week's poll?
Yeah, we have a few that look like maybe
Okay,
more intense discussion. Even this next one on the list
sure.
looks like
Next one on the
a
list.
good mix of stuff. Yeah.
All right, let's go for it. So we will go ahead and take Corey, he, him from Texas. You are live on the line. Wants to talk about the deconstruction and struggle. So Corey, tell us about it. What do you want to talk to us about?
Yeah, hey, howdy. Thanks for taking my call, y'all. Yeah, I'm 41 years old and I guess I started my deconstruction about a year ago. I guess is when I consciously was aware that I was deconstructing. There's that first scary part and you don't even know what's happening inside, but as I've gone through the deconstruction, it's, caused me to just open my eyes to so many things that I took as fact and never looked into. And it's caused me to open my eyes and realize just how much I was blind to, like evolution. I mean, I was so far into the Southern Baptist fundamental Christian life. We were church on Sunday mornings, Sunday nights, and Wednesday nights growing up. And I met my wife at summer camp and church and youth group. We got married in that church and raised our kids in that church and then homeschooled our kids and went off, had Sunday school, taught Sunday school. And long story short, just all into it. And then now learn, just I'm a scientific person and just how blind I was to science and how much I was lied to. And so now as I accept evolution and I'm just blown away and fascinated by the subject matter, and I'm fascinated by so many things that are progressive that I thought was just some large scam cultist lie to control us. Now I realize was the science and I was the one that was into some cultish lie. Uh, but I'm still struggling with transgenderism, and I'm struggling to understand it from, I guess, the science aspect. And I've listened to the show, I've listened to Forrest, and I don't have all the names memorized, but um, they cite studies
Yeah.
that show that gender is a scientific fact. I guess
Yeah.
I'm
So
as an autistic person, I'm struggling to understand how gender and sex are different.
yeah, and that's a great question. And I first of all want to say that I hope you're congratulating yourself a little bit, giving yourself a pat on the back for these big steps that you've made. It's so difficult to get out of the way that you've previously been thinking. And I did the same thing, going from evangelical Christianity to then working on a biology degree, and then that's kind of what helped me got out. But like, congrats on this journey, and it's reasonable to have questions, and I appreciate that you're here asking these questions. I think Josie and I take a similar approach in separating out gender versus sex, but we might have some differences, so we'll both weigh in here. But my approach is kind of separating it out by like field of study, because the terminology that we're using has very specific definitions and very specific context. So if you think of each facet being different and referring to very specific components of what makes somebody who they are, it's easier to separate them out. So if we take uh, gender as a whole as kind of this multifaceted concept that involves how you view yourself, like your self identity. It's how your body works, and then also how you engage with the world around you. Um, and so once we have kind of that thing where everything melts in this little melting pot together, we can separate it out to your psychological components, the sociological components, and the biological components. So when we say sex, we're purely talking about those biological components that you can't really do much about. There's some aspects you can modify later on, but for the most part, what you were born with is what you were born with. You can't go back and undo that. But those factors shouldn't control how you engage with the world around you. I tend to take an approach that, like, that's the way that you get to live your life should not be based on what's in your pants. It should not be based on what hormones
Mhm.
you have or what any of that. So that's just something that is for you and your healthcare, and less important for everybody else. Gender identity is psychological, so that is your sense of who you are as a person. And then gender expression is how you present, like how you act out your gender as far as how you uh how you are seen to the world. So like how you dress, how you act, those kinds of things. Um and so all of these kind of work together to give like I'm kind of mumbling a little bit. But the whole idea is that we have to engage with the rest of the world. And while it would be great for society to not make assumptions about who you are and what you should be called, how you should act, and all that, we still live in a society that does make those assumptions. And so we have to act in a certain way to where we're going to be perceived to be whatever gender. And so that's where we're kind of at a head with a lot of society, uh, because you may look a certain way, you may identify a certain way, but society won't necessarily treat you that way. And so that's kind of where the intersection of all that happens and where trans people enter the picture. Did I make
Mhm.
things a lot
Yeah.
messier? I feel like I made things messier.
No, no, that no, that does help. And I guess for me, it's just there's so much indoctrination that's so hard to see through that how what's the difference, I guess, between the sex, and I understand the gender identity is what the personal interpretation of your internal sex or expression, and how do we know which one of those two things should be the driving factor for the person? I guess it's a personal choice. It's their choice. It has to be their choice. So why? Yeah,
Yeah.
I got you.
So just to take a, I want to, and I'm glad we're having this conversation, Corey, because what I really love about this conversation is when you're diving into a new idea or new thing that involves a personal identity of other humans, we have to have a vocabulary, right? A vocabulary that is more jargony. Like for example, I
Mhm.
use this sometimes in the conversation when I went on this call. It's like if you want to talk about a computer, you can't just use the word computer to generally speak about the components of a computer, right? There's motherboards, there's circuits, there's resistors, and there's all these little things, and you have to learn everything
Hmm.
inside of those the computer to better understand explaining the how a computer works. For example, does that make sense? S-
Actually, that makes
I,
a lot of sense as I view myself as one huge biological computer.
yeah.
And
So
it's like a
go
hardware
ahead.
versus a software thing. Like to
Yeah,
super simplify it. It's like your
yeah.
hardware doesn't match your software, and it's going to be difficult to make the computer work effectively if those two are mismatched.
Yeah.
So makes
I
sense.
see.
Yeah. So Corey, so what I'm gonna throw some words at you that may need better descriptors as far as the definition of things. So Ben talked about a few things. So for example, there's a difference between, I'm gonna say these four different things, okay? Gender expression, gender identity, sex, and sexual orientation. They're all components inside of a human person, but they don't have to all align with each other to be so, right? So I'm pretty sure you know what sexual
Okay.
orientation is, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Like who you love type, right? So
Yes.
like gay,
Yeah. Yeah.
straight, all that, right? And then and you know what sex is, right? Like so sex
Yes.
is
Yeah.
basically what you're assigned at birth, right? Like male, female, and intersex and things like that. Now, gender expression is a different thing from gender identity as well, because expression means if you fall on the feminine or masculine side of things as far as how you express yourself, and it doesn't have to be correspondent with your gender identity, right? Like a tomboy, for example, or a person who is an
Okay.
effeminate man, right? So that's their gender
Uh
expression,
huh.
right? That's how so I
Okay.
express very feminine and Ben express very masculine, for example. Now, gender identity is what you internally feel you are. So as a woman or a man or a non-binary person, right? Like all of those
Uh-huh.
things are how we identify and how we express those things. So for example, with gender identity, sometimes people will use expressions such as different pronouns like he, him, she, her, they, them, it's, and these, hers. All of those are not the gender identity, but those are also gender expressions as well. So it doesn't necessarily have to align with your gender identity either. So the reason I went through all of that is there's a lot there, right? There's a lot of different words and definitions and understandings when we are trying to talk about somebody's individual self. It get complex pretty quickly, just like digging into a computer can get complex pretty quickly. Does that make
It
sense, Corey?
it can get, yeah, no, it does, and it makes it make a lot more sense why I guess it's so confusing when I was told, you don't look into this, don't even research it, you don't even need to Google it. It just look how stupid this is, and we don't even understand the difference between the four definitions, huh?
Yeah, exactly,
Yeah.
Okay.
right? So a lot of the problems happen when people start just slamming everything together and saying gender and sex are the same and there's no conversation about it, that's what it is. But that's not the case. Sex is physical and biological, while gender is sociological and psychological, right? So they're
Uh-huh.
completely two different like disciplines of understanding. So when we talk about gender, so we're talking about man and woman, I'm going back to your original question, right? A man and a
Uh-huh.
woman are identities that people can identify. I identify as a woman, so I am a trans woman, meaning that I was born male, assigned male at birth, but I identify as a woman. So therefore I am trans. So the idea is the transness is I'm understanding my biological reality of my sex assigned at birth, but my womanhood is my sociological psychological understanding of who I am as a woman, and that's my gender identity. So for example, I like to use the sentence as an example. Some women, oh, so I like to say some coconut trees have coconuts and some coconut trees don't. Now I'm going to use an analogous sentence. Some women have penises and some women don't. So the tree is the gender and the coconuts is the sex. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, yeah, it shows the dividing line more clearly.
Yeah, right. So, for example, and I'll use this other sentence as well, which is a black woman, a blonde woman, a cis woman, and a trans woman are all types of women. Yes or no?
I I would have to assume yes, yeah.
Yeah, right.
I,
They're all
I, I
types
say
of
yes
women.
because I don't even understand the difference between cis and trans, and I
Well,
just out
sure.
of ignorance I say yeah, I'd have to.
Well, right. So cis means that it's somebody who is assigned the sex at birth aligns with their gender identity, and somebody who is trans is someone whose sex assigned at birth is different from their internal sense of gender identity. So that's what makes them trans. So all of
I see.
those things are all descriptive, right? Definitions are descriptive; they're not prescriptive. So the
Uh-huh. I
language
Makes sense.
evolves as we move forward. So I threw a lot at you, and I'm going to let Dr. Ben come back in, but I wanted to kind of go into the complexities of things to the real world way that we kind of look at things.
I see.
Yeah. Do you have anything to add to that before I let Ben
Oh,
jump back in?
oh, no, I didn't want to interrupt you. No, it's actually very, very helpful for me. I think just talking about it with someone that isn't a hollow sounding board to make sure that I'm going down the right path is what I was really looking for, because I'm tired of going down the wrong paths. And I'm
Yeah,
just looking
Yeah.
for facts and scientific facts.
yeah, and you can, and this is something that you can try out on your own, like the process to discovering your own gender identity. Like it works for cisgender people too. Like I think everybody benefits from thinking through these different terms and thinking, how do I feel about this? Like, this is how I was assigned at birth. Do I believe that my gender identity aligns with that? Like, that's something I think everyone can think about on their own, and think about, how do
Mhm.
I express myself? Are there things that are feminine that I think I would never try that maybe I want to try? Like, it's okay to think about that on your own and put into your own perspective of, where do I fit on this whole spectrum? Because it's not just for trans people. All these questions are not just for trans people. Like, I think it's worthwhile for everyone uh, to utilize that. And I think that breaks down a little bit of that barrier too, because we're not saying for everyone to throw out the way that they view themselves. This is just it's articulating what we already know about ourselves into a way that's easier to communicate with other people and easier to understand ourselves with. So I hope a lot of this helps you in that
Yeah,
way.
Corey. So I have a couple
Yeah, no,
questions
this
for
was
you.
very
I
helpful.
wanna I wanna do this in practice. So Corey, what's your sexual orientation?
Straight.
Okay. What's your gender expression?
Aha. That's it. I mean, I'm a male, but I'm sitting here thinking with life as an autistic through the autistic lens, there's no on off. Everything's a slider. And there are times sometimes
Sure.
that I am just feel very maleish, and then there are sometimes that I want to get dressed up and get cleaned up and get sexy and maybe put on some shiny shoes, and that I
Yeah.
feel a little bit more effeminate in those moments, it's
Okay.
it's not a
Yeah,
clear answer.
gender
Yeah.
expression can be that way. Yeah, gender expression can be that way. What's your gender identity?
Uh I guess straight male. I
So
don't I don't
man,
know I don't quite
right?
understand it.
So that's man, right? Or do you identify as a man?
Yes, man, yes.
Yeah, so that's your gender identity. And lastly, what's your sex?
Male.
Exactly.
There you
See,
go.
we all every single human fall inside of those spectrums, and they're a sliding scale sometimes, or they're oppositional to what people think they're supposed to be. But at
Uh-huh.
the end of the day, everybody has them uniquely to themselves, and everybody, no matter who they are, fall on those spectrums all the time. So that is why when we talk about, like the trans, trans people, right? Trans people are just very articulate about the fact that, hey, I identify as a woman. It doesn't matter that my sex is male. It doesn't matter. Right. For me, it's like I am
Mhm.
a trans woman. I am a woman. I live my life as a woman. I also express very feminine, right? I love all the things, the trappings of femininity. And, and I'm bisexual, right? So all of those things are who I am, and trans people are just studied in the understanding of what those things mean, so we're able to articulate them a little better, rather than the way that, back and a little further back, people only said you are a man, that's it, or you're a woman, that's it, was robbing everybody of their beauty, right? Because even back then,
Mhm.
like, there were trans people that existed, there were effeminate men that existed, there were tomboyish women that existed, and all of those things that society rigidly structures you into is oppressive to the people who want to live their own truth, regardless of the boundaries that society says that they're supposed to have. And that is, I think, where people get upset with, like, a trans woman like myself. Like, people are like, no, you're a man. I'm like, really? Look at me. Like, am I really a man? Right. And so it's the
Uh-huh.
idea of that level of control that people try to put on another, when I'm just expressing who I am in those four things that we've been discussing this entire call. So that's how I kind of look at things, and I think when you have that deep understanding of those particular categories, gender expression, gender identity, sex, and sexual orientation, that in a nutshell is the queer experience of what we experience when we're not cis, which is basically, alignment with the way heteronormativity. Have you ever heard that? Heteronormative behavior
Uh-huh.
or heteronormativity is somebody like yourself, and there's nothing wrong with that. You're straight, you're cis, and you identify as a man. So like all of those things are maybe more I guess on average, but there's still about 2% of the population that fall outside of that. Or actually there's more, it's more like
Uh-huh.
probably 20 if we're counting queer people across the board who are cis and also gay. So there's a lot of like things that are involved in that. So I just want to thank you, Corey, for having this conversation and thinking more deeply about what does the LGBTQ community look like? Why do we exist the way that we do? Why do we use the language that we do? And all we're trying to do is just be ourselves and live, because I would never tell you, Corey, that you have to be something or another, right? And so
Yeah,
all
that's
I'm saying is like, hey, this is what exists.
well, the show, The Line, and all the different shows that y'all have through the week have been incredibly helpful and encouraging to me, and reminding me that my internal struggles that I have, while they may not be with transgenderism, with religion and life and the meaning and purpose and floating between nihilism and Mr. Rogers, and trying to figure out where I float, where I land in that. Y'all's show has been so helpful, helping me figure out the questions to ask and how to not get sidetracked by non-consequential answers.
Yeah,
Yeah, and
and
So
thank
Corey, I
I
just
you.
want to leave
appreciate
you with
y'all.
one thing as well. I just want to leave you with one thing as well. So there's no such thing as transgenderism. It's just that people are trans. So it's trans people. Right. So it's
Okay.
kind of like
Okay.
that's what it is. So
What
a
do you
lot of times people will say trans. Go ahead.
I was
What was
going to
your
ask,
question?
what do you use to label the concept across a people then?
Yeah, it's people who
That's
are
all I was trying to
trans.
figure
People
out.
who are yeah. Yeah, exactly. It's people who are trans, people who are transgender, right? It humanizes
People.
it,
Okay.
right? Because that's what we are, we're
I
people.
see.
So when people try to remove the people part of transgenderism, it makes it seem like it's something that infects us versus that instead of who we are. So that's
It's
why we
something who
try
you
to
are.
tend to
Yeah.
stay away.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. We're just trans, just like people are
Yeah.
gay. You wouldn't say gayness, right? Or gayism,
Yeah.
right? You would be
Yeah.
strange, right? So it's the same thing with trans people. You don't say transgenderism just
Hmm.
like we don't say gayism. So because it's a human
I see.
experience. It's not something that happens to
I see.
us.
Well, thank you for
Yeah.
correcting
Does that
that.
make
That helps.
sense? Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and
Great.
thank you so
Well, I
much,
appreciate it.
Corey, for yeah, thank you for asking the questions. Thank you for like it takes a lot of courage to go out of your way to call a show that is like publicly aired where everyone can hear what's going
Oh,
on. And I appreciate you being
I've been shaking the
non-combative
whole time. Don't
and
worry.
having an honest conversation.
Aw.
No, and I just want to let you know you're doing a good job. Like even if there are points where like we add corrections or things like I like we all know that you're you're acting out of good faith, like you're having a polite discussion and you're willing to learn. So I just want you to take that and know that we really appreciate people like you
Okay.
calling in with some honest
Be
questions.
teachable.
So keep it up. Yeah, keep
Yeah.
keep it up. You're
Yeah.
Thank
doing
y'all.
great.
Corey. Yeah, for
Well, y'all
sure.
have a good
Awesome.
day.
Well, have a great rest of your day, okay? Thank you.
Yeah.
All right.
You too.
Bye-bye.
Bye bye.
Oh, that was a really great call. I really enjoyed
Yeah.
that. So let's go ahead and go over the poll that we have. So we have some poll results. We have 95% saying no. The Supreme Court shouldn't allow torture by striking down Colorado's conversion therapy, which is good. And if you're part of that 5%, lines are still open. We'll take you.
Yeah.
So if you do believe that conversion therapy should be allowed, we'll be happy to have a conversation with you. And it doesn't have to be oppositional; it can just be a conversation. So yeah. Do you have any things to say about this poll?
I mean, there's not a whole lot of depth we need to go into on this other than, conversion therapy is torture. It is scientifically demonstrated to be problematic and increase uh, poor outcomes within the trans community and with the queer community at large. So the fact that the Supreme Court is not allowing states to allow evidence-based care, but they're not allowing you to ban problematic treatment. It's it just doesn't make a lot of sense. Like you can't take the position and say, "Oh, this is about states' rights and like local rights to do things." Like that's they're not consistent on maintaining the rights, because if that was the case, then you'd also allow the right to for states to allow trans healthcare to be available. Um, so it's contradictory reasoning on their part, and so like anyone who thinks that this is about just allowing more rights to the states and stuff is completely misled, and we want to talk to you about it if that's the case.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. The Supreme Court has lost its ability to be consistent, which actually hurts the credibility of the justice system, which will hurt our ability to have the co-equal branches of government. So it's a really like high level like political science thing that I'm talking about right now. But essentially, the way that what Ben was saying exactly is the fact that it's so ideologically inconsistent. So, what is states' rights versus what is state federal rights have completely blurred the line so much that it actually breaks the institution's ability to be heard as the law of the land. So there are so many layers of breaking of our constitutional republic that can happen because of these very, very ideological inconsistencies about what is should be allowed federally and what should be allowed in the states. It's very scary time. It's a very scary time.
Mhm. For
So
sure.
yeah. Um, Great. Well, if you haven't liked or subscribed, please do that. It's very important. And remember, we'll take $5 super chats. We'll read them at the end of the show. Remember, hashtag Team Ben or hashtag Team Josie to have us read or try to defend a point that is silly and absurd, but it's always a good time to see us do it. So thank you. Great. So Dark Ben, which call do you want to take on next?
Whatever your preference is. I don't know if you saw the Discord message about one of them, the one with the note on it. I'm wondering if
So,
7-4 might
here.
be a good one, but
Okay, 7-4. We'll go ahead and
it's
take that one.
probably a good one.
Um, yeah, we'll take that. So we'll take M, whichever. New Zealand wants to talk about why they wrote whichever or whichever wrote whichever. But yes, M, you are live on the line. So let's talk about it. Why whichever?
Okay, hi. So I called into the line a couple times before, and people suggested I come talk to you about revising that. Um, so
Are you there? Yeah, go ahead.
yes,
Yeah.
I'm here. Um,
Okay.
the general idea is that so okay, just jump straight into it. I'm uncomfortable with my assigned at birth pronouns, and I'm also uncomfortable asking for alternative pronouns, and so writing whichever seemed like
Mm,
a useful or not useful um, compromise, I guess, between the two.
mhm.
Uh, and so that's where I'm at.
Yeah.
So I want to clarify, and because I want to get a little bit more into this, is this more of an issue with people who you perceive to be not accepting of gender incongruence, and maybe you don't want to inconvenience people, or you don't want to stir the pot, and so you kind of don't engage with that, or is it something that you want to use a variety of pronouns, or that you just don't have a pronoun preference? Like, is there something
Right.
along those options that kind of resonates with you?
Um, so the issue is I'm working with 20 something years of everyone in authority telling me that I shouldn't transition. And choosing pronouns seems like
Mm,
step one of transition, therefore I'm not doing that. And it's so that's where I'm at.
I see.
In case it's not clear, that's from my religion, from Christianity, or from the
Yeah.
ground
Got
Is
it.
there
Christianity
is
Got
there
it.
a
operation.
is there a particular safety concern that you're worried about? Or is it something that you're like, is there a specific consequence if you like if you wanted to try different pronouns and things? Like, is there some way that you'd be harmed from that? Like, whether it be your job or uh something more tangible, or is it kind of fear within you just not wanting to take that step?
Um, it's it's just no, my job. I talked to them already. They're fine. They're aware of what's going on. Um,
Yeah.
no, it's just me.
Yeah, I think
Yeah, I
it's
get it.
okay to take your time. It's absolutely okay to not jump straight into transition. And like I understand the significance of coming out to yourself in that way and thinking, "Oh shit, like this is like I think all of us have had that point of being afraid of like you know the rumors, you know what things happen to trans people, and you get worried of I don't want that to be me. That can't be me. I can't be one of those people. And so overcoming that and taking steps to transition is very difficult to initiate. And I think it's okay to kind of sit where you are now and not make that decision to transition when you're not ready to. And I think pronouns, like it's okay to sit in a place of I don't care what pronouns people use, or just like, 'cause that's even the step to say, "I'm not gonna use the ones that I've been assigned." That is still a huge step, and that's probably, like, the first couple steps are some of the hardest to overcome, and so I think even in that, that's a big deal. I remember there was a time when I used any and all pronouns because I wasn't sure yet, um, and I don't think it's wrong for you to do that. I think it's okay for you to and I think that's part of why pronouns could be so beautiful is that you don't have to out yourself. You don't have to adopt pronouns you're not comfortable using. The whole point is for other people around you to make you feel respected. And if the best way right now for you to feel respected is for people to not use a particular set of pronouns for you, then I think that that's totally reasonable.
Yeah.
Josie, any thoughts?
Yeah, and I usually think about this a lot about how when I was also in your position because for a short period of time I went by the letter J and wasn't sure if my pronouns were either for a short period of time. So it's a very normal place to be, especially when you have had for me, for example, I had a very incredibly conservative upbringing, religion, the whole thing. I was in the military. Took me until 34 years old before I was able to live my truth. So it's a very normal thing. But one thing that I think is helpful to ask yourself the question too sometimes is, are you cis? Like, sometimes being able to say, are you cis? Yes, no, is a very easier step to take than saying yes I am trans, right? Like, and so sometimes asking yourself the question in a different way can help you feel better about how you're easing into the understanding of yourself. And like Ben said, like, this is a moment of self-discovery for you, and there is a beauty in that, of being able to be, I'm gonna take this slow. I'm gonna figure out what makes me happy, and some people can jump in with both feet from 5 years old, and some people take a long time, depending over years or decades. I've seen that happen as well, where people are like, "Oh yeah, I've been trans, for 10 years, but I've only been on HRT for a year," and I'm like, "Oh, okay, right." Like, so there's like a there everybody goes through their different process of how they feel about where they are. And I think what helped me is finding a group of trans people in a local community center, a local LGBTQ center, that allowed me to sit and experience people and see and ask questions and understand and see people throughout their different levels of their transition and where they are in their own journeys. Helped me a lot, because I was able to see that some people were as far as I was in my transition, to people who were already gotten to the point where I wanted to be back then. So yeah, that's the way that I would approach it, but never feel like there's a time crunch, and never feel forced that you have to do it in some way, or you're not valid. Where you sit in your transition is valid, no matter what you where or how you're approaching it. So yeah, that's how I would approach this, if I were to do it again. Does that make
Okay.
sense?
Yeah, I want to clarify a bit because I think there's a little bit of a misunderstanding here. It's been years since I
Mhm,
figured out that I'd probably prefer to transition, right?
mhm.
It's just that here I am stuck with a conflict between that and the religion that I've been raised in for forever. And that's kind of why I'm at the line, is I'm kind of half hoping that this is why I called into the Sunday show, and I don't know which the other one was. I forget which day
Mhm.
first, because I'm kind of hoping that a little bit, just a little bit, hoping that someone will say the right thing that will tear apart my religion, so that
Yeah,
the
no,
conflict
I
isn't
get
there
it.
anymore.
Yeah,
I see.
no, we
Yeah,
we
that's
can get into the God claim if you want. Like, we can we could go there. Absolutely. But when it comes to, and I think this is really really interesting, of the fact that there is nothing anybody can say to you that will trigger the switch that says I'm trans or I'm no longer religious. It's that would be too easy, and
yeah,
we wouldn't be defeating the groomer claims or whatever if that was the case. Like, the idea that people can be indoctrinated into this, it's the part of the journey of the fact that these are the questions you have to start asking yourself and deeply
yeah,
sitting with them. We are happy to have the conversation about why, like, why I don't believe in, God or religion or anything like that. I could talk about that all day. I could talk about how I got there and how I think that faith is not a good way of determining what is true, and all of that type of stuff. Or I could talk about the fact that your gender identity is your choice, and it's who you are, and nobody else has any say in any of that. But I mean, if you want to ask us a question directly around that, we're Ben and I are more than happy to have
yeah.
a conversation if there is like something you're thinking about that you want to ask, to help us, like, maybe nudge you along that journey, if that makes sense, him.
Yeah, and I think
Um,
too, like the discussion of the religion and gender identity discussion is such an interesting intersection. Um, and it might be the case too that you find your trans identity and still end up in a religion. I have very dear friends of mine that are trans and who are progressive Christians. And like we don't see eye to eye on everything, but there are like some aspects of their transition led them to deconstruct some of the more harmful aspects of their religion, and they found a part of their religion that they still deeply identified with. And like I'm not religious, Josie isn't either, but if you end up in that place, that's also very possible. Just like a big thing is finding out your identity might be something that helps you get out of that religious space, is that's something that happened to me was growing up evangelical, learning that like at least being taught that being trans was sinful, being gay was sinful, and learning that those things that were part of me I could not get rid of. Those weren't something that was ever going to change about me. And so if I'm stuck in this religion that says who I am, like the core of my being is wrong, there's nothing I could ever do to end up in God's good graces. There's nothing I could ever do to fix that part of myself. So I could do all the right things, go to church, do all those things, but I still don't meet the criteria. So why would I even try? And some people take their gender identity and they say that, well, God doesn't make mistakes, so I can't, like the core of my being, my gender identity cannot be a mistake. And so that kind of led them into a more progressive Christianity. But I think kind of embracing these questions is like if you arrive at the conclusion that you're not cis, that's something that you do have to reconcile with the rest of your belief system. And I hope that wherever you end up, that it's not accusing yourself of being a problem. Like don't frame it from you're bad. Like don't start there. Start from I am a good person. I am like XYZ, however you whatever labels or things you want to use to identify yourself. Like find some qualities that you're proud of, embrace the things that make you you, and say, you know, I am a good person, like knowing that I can't change these things about myself. What does that mean for the rest of my beliefs? Does that mean that I am embracing religion, or does that mean I can't anymore? And I think go from a place where you matter, and like who you are is fundamentally you, and it's okay, and that's what makes you beautiful. So I think you'll be able to get there yourself. Just don't approach it from shame. Is where I'm really getting at.
Yeah, and I mean, one little issue with that, I guess, my religion doesn't entirely encourage just declaring I'm a good person, but
Right, and
also,
that's something that you have to deconstruct. And that's kind of the biggest thing I think you need to deconstruct is getting out of that shame cycle and learning that no, you are a good person. Like there's no such thing as original sin. Like there's nothing that somebody else did in their life that caused you to be a mistake. Like that's ridiculous. Um so like be kind to yourself in all of this, and hopefully you'll end up in the right place for your belief system and your identity.
Yeah, and I want to dig into that just a teeny bit there. What do you mean that about what you just said about your religion doesn't say you're a good person? Can you elaborate on that, please?
um, I'd like to elaborate on that, but
Okay.
I I'm worried. I'm just generally worried. I'm not a good thinker. I'm not a good talker. I'm going to need prep. It takes a bit of prep time to get onto the show, and um,
Mhm.
I can end up saying a lot of weird things if I just start talking without being a bit more prepared. So I'd like to leave questions like that for when I call in again to some other show or with a bit more preparation.
Okay. Sure. Sure. So, what you did prepare for this conversation as far as your own gender identity and how you feel it almost felt like it's very explicitly linked with your own religious beliefs. So if you don't want to talk about the religious claim, which is fair, um what else would you like to talk about regardless to your gender identity?
Um, well, I guess the main thing I wanted out of this was thank you for all of the encouraging words. Those have been um, good to hear. But I wanted to come back to the primary point of this, which was that I've been writing whichever in the pronoun section, and I feel like that's been negatively coloring people's opinion of me in this space, and I would like to consider alternative suggestions for what to write in that space.
Yeah,
So
I
you could
think
say any all,
yeah,
but go
that's what I was
on,
gonna say.
Ben. Sorry.
Yeah, no, that's exactly what I was gonna say. Any all is probably it reads to the viewer as affirming, like it whereas whichever I think just reads a bit more combative than any all does.
Yeah, okay. And I was considering that. I did originally not choose that because again it felt like just another form of beginning a transition in a way by choosing to write specifically some alternative pronoun. Uh, but I might just have to. That might be the best compromise.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I know it feels like it's giving into transition, and that thought that you have that adopting different pronouns leads into transitioning, like that's definitely some food for thought for you, I think. Um, but like we can normalize the fact that, as we're talking in previous calls, like pronouns are just a form of gender expression. So you could be a completely cis person and still use any all. You could be a cis person and use she, her, he, him, they, them. Like that the pronouns alone don't make you trans. So you can even, like, I know it feels like it, but just the pronouns that you use for the show, it doesn't mean that you have to transition or go forward with anything else. Like cis people can do that too. And I've seen cis people use different pronouns. So it's okay.
Yeah, and I could tell you
Yeah.
all the name that I've figured out I wanted some time ago, and I could tell you all of it, and none of that would
Sure.
make me a woman. It would just be. At the same time, though, it would be beginning on the path, and I'm not ready for that yet.
Yeah.
Okay,
If you're
And
that's
then
not
I'm
fair.
kind
ready,
of
that's
also
okay. That's
the
okay.
problem here is I'm also kind of not ready to not do that because here I am on extended leave from my job because of depression and burnout, which seems related.
Mm,
So it's not
yeah,
fun.
which is
But
related, I'm
yeah,
sure.
that's where I'm at.
Okay.
Um,
Well,
I'm
whenever you're
I'm
ready
done.
to share it with the world, whenever you're ready to share it with the world, you can always call in and let us know. I'm sure the audience would be happy and willing to hear your story there. Okay?
Yeah. Thank you
Awesome.
for this call. Have a good day.
Yeah, thank you.
You
You
too.
too. Bye-bye. Yeah, it's hard. It's hard right now.
Yeah.
So we have the loser poll. So we have conversion therapy for fall haters. It can only good happen, and I reject radical cisgenderism, which I think that these are great. Make sure you vote, and make sure that you for your vote to be counted, it has to be a $5 super chat or more. with hashtag Team Josie, hashtag Team Dr. Ben or Ben, to make that count.
Actually, it only counts if
So
it's hashtag Team Ben. The other alternative one does not count for votes. Sorry. I'm not suppressing the
sorry,
vote.
no hashtag Dr.
I'm
Ben.
not suppressing the vote.
Yeah, hashtag Dr. Ben no longer counts as Dr. Ben, as
Yeah.
Ben
No,
just said. So
no. I'm just making sure that only the correct votes count. Okay. I mean, like the Republicans can do it, so why can't I do it?
yeah,
Don't clip that out.
yeah, yeah. um,
Oh, but
great. Well,
speaking of that, since we are
yes.
on a political show, since I'm still technically in the military, I did get to submit my my ballot for my local elections or my absentee
Ooh.
ballot. So I voted, and if all of y'all are if you're getting your ballots, uh, make sure you get them. Make sure you vote. Those local elections matter a lot, so
Yeah, they do.
do
Yeah, they
not miss
do.
it.
I was supporting another campaign today, and we were cutting up and getting their GOTV stuff, and a mayor of a town only needs about 2,400 votes to win for an entire mayor. So it's just like, yeah, so these votes really matter a lot, especially right now because in municipal elections in 2025. Oof, just a few votes can turn the entire turn the
Yeah,
difference.
and those
So
positions, like we're seeing uh more local positions having to do a lot of work in kind of holding the line. So it's these are so important. Who you get in your city, in your counties, all that, it absolutely matters right now. We need every seat we can get. Like get those votes in.
yeah,
So
absolutely. And I just got another donation for my campaign. Every time a donation
yes.
happens, there's like a beep from a heart monitor. So it's like a beep. It happens in my ear. So it's
Awesome.
always fun. Yeah, yeah. So it's the pulse of my campaign. I appreciate you. um Awesome. Great. So, let's see. Anyone standing out to you, or just want to go down the list?
Well, whichever ones sound good to you. I'm flexible. So
Okay. So we'll just go down the list here.
yeah.
To Sharon, she, her from, I believe that's Minnesota. No, that's not Minnesota. That's Missouri.
Missouri.
Um,
Missouri.
yeah, looking for advice. Yes. So Sharon, you're live on the line. How are you? It sounds like you're looking for advice for a 9-year-old.
Yes. My son is 9 and has ADHD, but he's discovering like what crushes are and things like that. Um, and he wishes he could be a girl, is his thing. He wants magical powers so he can be a girl. And he's starting to
Yeah.
feel different at
Yeah.
school, and all his crushes are on little boys. And it's making him angry, I think. He seems very angry, and I
Mm.
don't know how to help him.
Yeah. Well, I think if you are at a point where you're not sure, have you considered going to behavioral therapy or some type of psychological place for him to go, so that way you can start having these ideas explored with a professional?
He has a therapist, but I need to look for a new one because when I brought this up to her, all she said was, "Oh, he doesn't know what that is. He doesn't know what he's talking about." And yes, he does.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, find a different therapist for sure. And
Yeah.
I want to applaud you for recognizing that you need to find a different one because like there are a lot of parents who would not and there's a lot of parents who would agree with that particular therapist on this and so I appreciate you recognizing that. Um so I would highly recommend looking for someone who is gender affirming and like in that gender affirming therapy like it's going to be very similar to pretty much any psychotherapy for a young kid. uh
Hmm.
so like you don't have to worry about the rumors about they're just going to groom your kid into being trans. Like a gender affirming therapist is not going to tell your kid that they are trans necessarily. Their job is to let the kid explore who they are as a person and make sure that there aren't any other like sources of trauma contributing to whatever uh like anger issues you're expressing that the kid is displaying. So it's
Yeah.
like they're very very good at teasing that kind of thing out in age appropriate ways to where the kid gets to explore and relay their thoughts and feelings without having the external pressure that everyone's saying therapists are doing.
Right. And that's what I want for him. I just want him to be able to express himself and be whoever he is.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
Yeah, and so that's the first step, right? And make sure that they know that, right? That your child knows that it is a safe place to be able to speak to you about those things, because a lot of that outburst can be a lot of the anger outbursts can be a place of like, I can't tell anybody what I'm feeling because nobody believes me type situation
Mhm.
is a very hard place, especially for someone who is younger that doesn't have all the tools, the ability to kind of like express themselves in a way that is healthy. And that's why it's important to have someone who is a professional on deck to be able to explore these feelings. Because a lot of times, a good therapist, no matter if they're for an adult or a child, is just asking, "Oh, why do you feel that way?" Or "What does that mean?" It's just a bunch of exploratory questions to help a person discover who they are as a person. And so it's really, especially currently in this particular climate that we live in society with the American government, it's incredibly important that you have a professional person that is there to help you navigate the medical system that is getting more and more difficult for minors that need this life-saving healthcare. So having that medical professional on your side is incredibly critical in this time. So that's definitely something that you should do, but definitely at this point continue to do what you're doing as a parent to basically say, yeah, great. Just be an open space and a place for them to be able to say, yeah, this is what I feel, this is who I am, this is what I want, and just not tossing it off to the side like many people in their life probably already does. So I wish I could tell you more. Is there anything else specifically that you would like to know or thoughts?
Just one more thing. Do you think it would be helpful? About 30 miles away, we've got it's called the Rainbow Cafe, and they have
Mhm.
drag story hour and all different kinds of things like that. Do you think that would be helpful? Maybe finding him a community like that, or is that too much for a 9-year-old?
I don't I don't think it's too much. I mean, as long as it's like, age appropriate, like telling stories
Yeah,
is, telling stories. Like that's fair.
yeah.
I
Yeah.
think that is completely okay. And it's important for, I think any child needs to know that the, community exists across all spectrums. So I think it would be actually great. And I think that's probably what they're there for, is to allow kids to be able to be in a place where they can express themselves freely, and that's usually how those things go.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm
No,
totally
that's
on
been
board
really
with that.
helpful.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, I'm glad. No, no, I'm glad this was helpful, and it's important that we, because I think what we have to understand, especially if we're raising kids and stuff, is like it takes a village, and
Yes.
to be able to have other, you know, outlets and other places and other people and other professional medical advice and all of that is all so critically important, because yeah, I'm sure it can be overwhelming, especially if you don't have a lot of familiarity with the topic. So I think that you're doing exactly what you're supposed to be doing, and just remember, the most the most important thing, and this is from my own research because I do research on trans people across the country, is the most important thing for a minor or a trans person generally is to have someone in their life that accepts them for who they are, no matter what, is the most life-saving thing that exists for a person. And so you being the mother of like saying, "Hey, whatever you're dealing with, I'm here for you. If you ever want to talk about it, fine," without having any type of judgment in the space is the most important thing that you can provide. And so it sounds like you're doing that. So it sounds like your child's in good hands.
Thank you.
Yep.
I'm trying.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah,
Of
you're doing a
course.
lot. You're
Yeah.
doing so much. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank y'all.
For
Thank
sure.
y'all. You
Okay.
have a great day,
Yeah.
okay?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. You
you as
too.
All
well.
right.
Thank you, Sharon. All right.
Thanks.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Ugh, I love parents
So
that are
wholesome.
just like, it is so
Yeah.
wholesome because it's just like,
Yeah.
there's so many people have so many questions and there's so much misinformation out there. And, and I think a lot of it too is, people are afraid to talk to trans people because they think, oh yeah, definitely a girl, definitely do this. Oh yeah, make sure you. It's like, no, we're like telling people to like go seek professional advice and support and find, community and figure out what's going on, right? It's like
Yeah.
when I think about like real life examples of this stuff, like if conservatives were to just see that call and they think that we're just like indoctrinating people, it's like nowhere did we say anything that was like off key, right? It was just like, hey, why don't you
Yeah.
seek a medical professional? Like, you know what I mean? Like it's
Yeah.
so obvious to me, like that's what we do. And it's like, yeah, so yeah, that's a perfect example of what we should be doing as community. But anyways, yeah.
Absolutely.
um so if you haven't liked or subscribed, make sure you do that now.
Do it
It's
now.
very, very important. Do
There's
it,
only
do it,
like
do it now. And
211
also,
likes on this thing. We've been going for an hour and a half. There's 400 of you in the live chat. Hit that like button for us. It helps a lot and it's totally free.
Yeah.
yeah, and Arden, take the mic out of your mouth when you speak because
What if I do it like this? Is this better for you?
no.
As long as you don't start making the weird moaning noises in the background. Like
Oh God.
Hold on, give me a second. Now it has to happen
Oh my
and the
God.
audience has to be here for it. All right, listen.
Okay.
Listen,
yeah.
guys.
Oh my God.
Blame Lux for this because Lux brought
It's
this
so
to everyone's
loud.
attention. Yeah, Lux brought this to Arden's attention, and now we all have to suffer. So thank you,
So
Lux.
funny. So
If
funny.
Lux is watching, thank
You're
you so
blowing
much.
out everybody's eardrums, Arden. Everybody's ears
R.I.P.
are
headphone
bleeding
wearers.
right now.
R.I.P. headphone
Jesus.
wearers.
Including my own. All right. Anyways, like Arden's loud ass Mike said, make sure you like and subscribe.
Otherwise, your eardrums will rupture because Arden will
They
do
will
it again.
rupture.
So
Yeah.
yeah. So do it now, and nobody gets punished. Okay.
Yes. Everybody's ears are bleeding right now in the chat.
Yeah,
We're so
people in side
sorry.
chat like, "Girl, why?"
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, chat is
My
losing their
ears.
mind right now over this. It's really funny.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh my God. Oh my God. My ears are still ringing. All right. So we are going to go to our next call. Yoshi, him from Texas. You are live on the line. Wants to talk to us about interconnectedness. So yes, Yoshi, what do you want to talk to us about? How do you want to, your question?
Hey, thanks for taking my call. I
Yeah,
wanted to talk
absolutely.
about something that has kind of terrified me which was Attorney General Ken Paxton's press release the other day, where he says a bunch of crazy things, one of them being that transgenderism is a harmful ideology, which I like. Earlier you said there's no such thing as transgenderism.
Right.
I had never heard that before. And that makes sense to me. Like, there's no such thing as homosexualityism, you know?
Right. Right.
Yeah, and I think it's really important that we unpack all this, because like people in positions of authority can deeply affect real people's safety and dignity. You know, it's just crazy to think that this type of rhetoric is coming from positions like this, when they contradict scientific consensus and ethical standards that a person in that position should be giving these press releases under the consideration of those things, you know, and just disregarding what the World Health Organization is saying, the American Psychiatric Association, and just, you know, going completely political, religious with it, saying that there's an undercover operation. And based on what evidence? Are y'all familiar with any hard evidence that would warrant this type of concern, like statistics on violent transgender people?
No, absolutely
No,
not.
there is
Like,
no
this is
evidence.
this is a case where literally they're using a whole class of people as like a way to fearmonger and spread propaganda that their positions should be the law of the land. Like, it's literally, we are literally a scapegoat, unfortunately.
Yep. Absolutely. In fact, all evidence is clear that trans people are more likely to be victims of crime than they are perpetrators of crime. Even if you take the numbers per capita, it is trans people are actually less violent than most individual identities across the entire spectrum of humanity as well. So it is absolutely what Ben said. It's the ability to scapegoat. Like, I mean, and I hate to do it, but I have to do it. It's like the illusions of like how, you know, the rise of Nazism and not Nazism, right? Or the Nazi rise had a lot to do with scapegoating queer people, Jewish people, and people who believed in socialism and communism. And they use those minorities to start stripping the rights and making a other class of people that were oppressed while other people felt like they were above. And so it's easier to actually point fingers at someone and say they're the ones that are stealing your cookies, instead of the actual real reality is like the oppressive powers are the people who are saying, hey, it's the trans people, or hey, it's the immigrants. And you're in Texas too. I'm originally from Texas myself, and you know, it's been like this for a very, very long time. And so now, because of the rise of this really hateful rhetoric, it is a distraction from them stripping everybody's rights and authority rights away. So when they take healthcare from trans people, it makes it easier to take healthcare from everybody else. When they take the ability for trans people to appear in public spaces, it makes it easier to take the access of public spaces from other people as well. And it's all a training ground to start taking the trappings of rights away from people. Hell, they even talked about taking guns from trans people. Look, they took the guns from the Jewish people as well, right? Like, this is a real thing. And what they are doing are using these tactics as distractions, rather than actually solving real issues, like making sure Texas electricity grid is always operational, making sure that Texas has the ability to feed people, making sure that people have the right to vote in Texas as well. Like, there is so much going on that it's easier for them to do a press release talking about trans people being the villain than actually them doing the real thing.
Yep.
Right. Yeah. That's really terrifying, honestly. But I'm hopeful that, you know, with shows like yours and people just speaking out to educate people, you know, people are inherently good, I believe, but just very ignorant. And then, yeah, some people have different motives. But yeah, I think as far as like the people in authority, their motives are really skewed, and it's not necessarily ignorance. But for most of the people supporting those people in authority, I truly do think that the majority of people, if they had the right information, would understand. So that being said, like I did have something to like an argument that might help people understand a little better why transgenderism, quote unquote, is not really a thing like they're thinking it is, or even an ideology as much as it is a condition, something that happens, you know. And the parallel that I wanted to draw was between uh, autism and trans people.
Mhm. Mhm.
For decades, medicine has tried to connect autistic behavior, correct autistic behavior, you know, like forcing eye contact, suppression, stimming, pushing like conformity. And the science has shown that that's just done harm. It's caused anxiety, trauma, depression, and in some cases, even suicide. And so over
Mhm.
time, we have learned, you know, that there are better ways to deal with this, and that it's a condition and less of it's not a disease, you know, or a
Mhm.
mental illness necessarily. So, like for Ken Paxton to call transgenderism an ideology and demonize trans people, it's like, why not lump autistic people in there? Anybody who believes that autism, like that we should be supporting um, autistic people rather than trying to convert them. Like, are we going to start autistic conversion therapy? You know,
No,
based on
the
the same
problem is
principles. Like,
they
it's
are.
science.
Yeah, usually the problem is they are trying to lump in autistic people. Like the whole issue with the Tylenol thing, like there's a reason why the administration's rhetoric has been so pointed at. We are going to find a cause of autism by uh, September 2025. Like there is intent to use autistic people as an additional scapegoat. Just from a different angle, like they're using autistic people to address like the healthcare standards and address vaccine standards like that definitely is happening. And so like I totally appreciate like your examples are spot on. uh the fact that you know the over medicalization of certain things definitely blurs the line and makes people incorrectly think that just because somebody receives medical care for a particular thing, that does not mean that they're broken. Like these are still variations of normal, but unfortunately, like they are using the same rhetoric for both groups of people. Just one has had a much more violent response, like already, than the other one. I think it's coming for both. It's just they're having an easier time using trans people um, for like violent rhetoric than they are with autistic people at this point in time.
Wow, thank you for educating
Yeah.
me on that. I was not that was not on my radar. Um, Even though I
Mhm.
had heard the speech, you know, it can only good happen. if you don't
Yeah,
take
well,
Tylenol.
Yoshi, this is the thing. Like, even RFK Jr. spoke about putting people who have depression and autism and making them go to camps and do gardening. And because it's good for
Yeah.
their mental health to work outside, like literally hearkening to labor camps, right? Like putting
Yeah.
people into camps
Wow.
outside picking vegetables because it's better for our mental health to do that, to work outside. Like this is why it's really important for, like, really call a spade here, because things that are happening right now are on the lines of what fascist regimes do to actually be, you know destructive to the people of a country, right? It is incredibly horrifying. Just yesterday, a or the day before yesterday, a trans woman at LSU, which is Louisiana State University, was arrested for speaking over her 3-minute allotted time at a university campus, like public forum, and she was arrested, taken to prison, given federal charges, so a felony, for disrupting education and resisting arrest, was stripped down naked. And then and they talked about how she was female on top and male on bottom, so we don't know where they put her. And so they gave her a female uniform and put her by herself, saying that if she didn't, she was going to be sexually assaulted. And so, like, that just happened 2 days ago. 2 days ago. And so this is the reality that trans people are dealing with right now, where trans people are already getting trumped up charges and felonies because and being dehumanized in the process because they are trans, for doing nothing more, for speaking over a 3-minute allotted time at a public forum. That's where we are. And so we have to be very vigilant and protect our trans siblings right now, and because this is we're at that point in our American history, and it's horrifying, and it scares me, and it makes me so angry that I have to report that type of news, but that's where we are.
Yeah, that is so unfortunate and
Yeah, she was 20 years old.
ignorant and hateful.
Yeah,
I I
20-year-old girl.
I haven't I haven't always stood with the community, but now more than ever, I'm starting to see how important it is to um, stand up and have a voice, even if I'm painting a target on my back. Um, to do so, I just think is the right thing to do. And
Yeah.
as a state attorney general, you're legally bound to act according to evidence and constitutional principles, not religion or political pressure. Personal belief cannot override equal protection under the law. When officials describe a medical reality as a moral threat, that's not protecting its citizens. That's creating a stigma. That's dividing people further, and it's going to cause more political violence. So these people who are saying that the political violence is coming from the far left and it's coming from over here and all the Democrats because they're having sort of reactionary responses to this hate. Like it's just absurd to me. And how many people around me in my area where I live who just don't understand this at all. Like it's
Yeah.
very frustrating. But I really appreciate what you guys do. And I'd love to hear
Yeah.
your thoughts on how can we help the public understand that gender affirming care is rooted in the same evidence based ethics as something like autism, and what's the best way for communities to respond when political leaders misuse their authority and spread fear instead of facts?
Yeah, it's gonna take people like yourself, Yoshi. People who are cis-presenting people that aren't trans, are going to have to continue to push back and say exactly what you just said. Clinically, research, doctor prescribed healthcare should be allowed for every person who needs it. The fact that we should not allow our politicians to pick and choose which medical care people can receive in this country based on identity is disruptive to the entire institutions that we live in this democracy. And we have to continue to say what is true, and that is those things that I just said. And it's going to take all of us to start saying that song to basically make that a reality, because guess what, like Ben and I, we're only two people, right? And trans people are maybe 1% open across the country, like as far as like openly trans people across the country, and we're dealing with the oppression that we were just talking about, so we can't do it alone. We need allies across the entire country to stand up in one voice and say, no, politicians, you're wrong. You're spreading misinformation. You're hurting my neighbors. My these are the people who, like trans people, there are delivery workers, there are grocery workers, there are politicians, there postal workers, they're everywhere. Trans people are vital to the functioning of our American society, including the military. No matter how much they want to try to take us out, there are still closeted people in the military that are still serving to this day because they want to provide public service to our nation that has shunned them. And even though they're trying to kick us out, we're still there. There's no way that you can get rid of all trans people, because we do exist and will exist. And despite all of the hatred that exists in the world, and we cannot fight this fight alone. So I kind of threw a very ideological picture of how you save us on this, but it is going to take a bunch of people like yourself, Yoshi, that are going to have to stand up and tell people like Paxton that he's wrong and what he's doing is criminal. And we can't keep electing them into office.
Here.
Yeah.
Thanks for giving me a chance to share that, and I appreciate what y'all do. It was nice talking to y'all,
Yeah.
and I'll let y'all get to some other callers.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Yoshi. I really appreciate this call. Yep. Thank you.
All right. Y'all have a good rest of your day.
You too. All right. So we have one more call left, everybody. So we're gonna take this last call. So if you haven't done your super chats, $5 or more for a super
Get
chat,
those in.
and get them in. Hashtag Team Josie, hashtag Team Dr. Ben. And I don't know what's winning right now on the poll. I don't even see the poll anymore, maybe because I voted on it. And then also, if you haven't liked or subscribed, make sure you do that as well. It's very important because we are approaching 200,000. So we want to make sure we hit that number. So
Yeah,
let's go ahead.
but along this last call topic, just because we know our great leader is so studious and knows so much about things, like the RFK Jr. is now trying to claim that there's a link between circumcision and autism because they use Tylenol, which we don't. Unfortunately, I've had to do circumcisions like in internship. Babies do not get Tylenol for circumcisions, and it's like absolutely criminal that you cannot get adequate pain control for that. But RFK Jr. is claiming that, and then Trump says, yeah, I'm not a doctor, but I've been studying this a long time. Like, do you know what the word study means? I don't think you know what the word study means, Donald Trump. Like, there's no way you've been studying for decades circumcision and autism and Tylenol. Like, there's absolutely no way. But
His brain is so cooked. His brain is so cooked.
Yeah.
Oh, it's so bad.
That's
Oh my god. It's so wild. So with that, we'll go ahead and take Sasha, she they from Maryland. Love
Hey.
Maryland. Very close place in my heart. You are live on the line. What would you like to talk about today?
Well, hello everybody. Thanks for making me the main event, I guess.
Um,
Yes.
Yeah.
I just wanted to really my comments were really based on the title about how protecting trans rights makes everyone safer. Um, I was wondering if you could delve into that a little more, and I did have a question. D- Is it?
Yeah,
Do you think it's
absolutely.
safer to remain in the closet during this current administration? Because I'm only out to a handful of people right now.
Okay, that makes sense. But Sasha, before we go on, are your pronouns they, them, or she, they?
She, they, because
Okay.
I'm really new to it all, so I'm just like testing out
It's
what
all
I'm
it's all
comfortable
fine.
with
I
for
just gotta
now.
make sure Arden corrects it on the there it goes. Perfect. So go ahead and ask. Oh, your question was about being closeted. So this is a very, very, very hard question because this is a personal decision on where you are and how you feel about it. I would never tell somebody to be open unless they were comfortable being open. That's not my place. I don't think that should be anybody's place to tell people to live openly if they do not feel comfortable living openly, especially currently under this administration. I think the most important part that you just said was that you have a very close group of people that you already have started coming out to and being. I think that's very, very important that you have a close network of people that you can be yourself around. So I am very happy to
Hmm.
hear that. Um, I will say that you personally have to make the decision about your safety. If you feel that you would lose your job, or if you feel that you would lose or your personal safety would be at risk, then I would say that you should weigh that very heavily until you have other options possible at this given time. Um, and you should talk to other trans people in your life if you have them and talk to them about their experiences about being openly trans. I will say in Maryland, I hope that running for political office in Maryland, trying to be the first trans representative in Maryland's history as far as a lawmaker. I am doing my best to try to be an openly trans woman, and so we can represent, so people can feel safe to be openly trans in the state that I wish to
And thank you
represent.
for that.
Um, yeah, you're welcome. I'm in the Montgomery County area, so
Oh,
it is something that I truly hope that you can find that comfort to be able to feel safe to do that. But
hmm.
again, it is your personal choice.
Well, thank you for answering that in the best way that you could. I
Yeah.
can
Uh,
appreciate you not wanting to give me advice that I would have to live with in the long run.
Yeah.
Um, it's just that it's all happened so soon. I literally just came to terms with this about myself back in June or July.
Mm. Congratulations on your discovery.
Thank you.
It's a, yeah, it's a hard one. And to be honest, I
Hmm.
came out about 6 years ago, almost, coming up on 6 years, and
Wow, so fairly
I
recent.
fairly recent, yeah. And I came out at 34 years old. So
Mm.
for me, it took a long time for me to come to terms with the reality that I'm a woman and had to deal with that process myself. So I completely understand the anxiety that comes with that, especially coming out now in this particular political climate can also probably be an extra layer of anxiety that
Yeah.
can exist for you as well. So yeah, what I used to do when I first came out was, walk around the block with my dog, expressing myself the way that made me comfortable, right? I'd walk around the block and then I'll go back home, change, and then go to the grocery store, right?
Right.
And then I would build up the courage to go to the grocery store, and then I build up the courage to fill up my car with gas, right? Or drive around looking like, who I am. Like, sometimes it takes baby steps like that.
Baby steps.
Mhm. Yeah. And if you have trans friends that you have, or friends that are comfortable in themselves, go out with them, right? Just go to
Yeah.
lunch, go to brunch, and then go back home, and then that's a good way to kind of just like inoculate yourself, because
Mm.
it can be very scary to do it all at once. And sometimes it's easy just to go to a place with a bunch with people that don't know you outside of your friend circle,
Mhm.
and then go back and realize, that's just how it was. I remember my partner, I remember going to Target. It was the first time I ever went to Target, as myself, Josie. And I remember going, and she was just like, I went by myself, and I I remember was in the makeup aisle, and this random cis woman came up to me, and she's like, "You seem to know a lot about makeup. Can you help me with this?" And it was like the most affirming thing ever. It was like, oh my gosh, this woman is just like, oh my gosh, this cis woman is asking me about how to use eyeliner, and it was a very affirming thing. But I also felt very uncomfortable in myself walking through Target because everybody was looking at me. And then my partner told me, that's just being a woman. Everybody just looks at women, especially when you're wearing a pretty dress. And I was like, oh, and it was like this realization of the fact that walking through the world as a woman is very different than walking through the world as masculine presenting, because I felt like when you're masculine presenting, no one really pays attention, but when you're a woman, people pay attention. It was a very weird experience, and it was something that I had to experience on my own to understand. That's what that was looking like. And so I was like, oh, okay. So again, it's baby steps, but it's really up to your speed on how you feel about it. Sasha, I can't hear you. It looks like your phone's kind of far away.
Is this better?
Yeah, you sound far. Yeah, that's better. Thank you. Go ahead and say what you
No,
said.
I was saying I've made some steps like I'm comfortable, dressing differently, painting my nails, things that are typically associated with women. My ultimate goal is to make the next step to like makeup. I'm giving it to myself and like process step by step, like you were saying.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
But
absolutely.
but at the
And
same but at the same time, it does still feel like a double-edged sword when I have the broad shoulders and everything. Maryland is generally safe, but I would also
mhm.
wager that there's no such thing as a 100% safe place.
That's right. That's right. And it's the risk of what you have to go through for your own happiness and your own comfortability. And girl, like, come on, I have broad shoulders too, but it's just like you just have to figure out how to wear it, right? Like different clothing
Mhm.
styles, different ways. Like you just have to try on different clothes. Like, when I first came out as well, I went and talked to many of my girlfriends, and friends that are girls, and was like, hey, do you have clothes you don't want in your closet? And I would literally go to their closets and raid their closets of stuff they didn't want, and I would literally just have trash bags of clothes in my closet, just trying on different outfits just to see what fit me well. And an A-line dress with me works great, and I figured that out very quickly. And so, like, there's just a lot of different outfits that you can have that accentuate things and don't accentuate things. And honestly, like, a lot of cis women wish they had like strong arms, you know what I mean? The Michelle Obama arms, right? Like, so there's a lot
Yeah.
of things that I think we subconsciously keep in our head that is actually attractive, and we think that they're not attractive because
Yeah.
we scrutinize ourselves so much.
We're harder on
Yeah,
ourselves than
and
other people are.
Yes, exactly.
yeah, and to Josie's point, like exactly, there are so many little tricks you can use too to make certain things seem like they fit better. Like I know for the trans mask people out there, it's hard to
Mhm.
wear men's dress shirts because if you have broader hips, the bottom you can't button the bottom of the shirt a lot of the time. So
Really?
I wear a lot of sweater vests and a lot of things
Mm.
where like I'll wear cardigans and things where I can hide the bottom of the shirt. I can keep it tucked in, and I don't have to worry about the fit of the shirt making a big difference. So like there's certain and it's ends up being a kind of quirky thing that ends up like being part of my style, like a bow tie and a sweater vest. And so it might be you find something that kind of helps you find the right fit of clothing, but then also can, in a way, become like your little signature look. And in some ways, it's kind of fun. You're like, oh yeah, this is a problem that I was so worried about, but at the end, like it actually looks really classy. I'm like, oh yeah, this problem turned into something that I can be happy with. And maybe you'll find certain outfits like that where like, I thought this was a problem before, but you know what, this problem led me to find something I never would have tried, and I actually really like it. So,
Yeah. Yeah, and
Thank you
remember
for that.
too, remember this as well, Sasha, that hormones, if you're on them, take sometimes years for them to take to full effect of how your body actually adjusts. There are dresses that I hated when I was early in transition that now fit awesome and look great on me. So sometimes there is a little bit of a waiting time sometimes as well, and it can be really frustrating. But sooner or later, you'll realize it's 2 years later, and you're like, "Wow, this dress looks great on me. Why didn't I wear it before?" And it's like, "Oh, it's because my hips got a little bit wider and my fat displacement went in the right places." And so there is that as well. So give yourself grace as well as your body will go through the transformation. Just trust the process if you're on it. If you're not, then you can still find dresses either way. And
I'm
and
actually
so
I'm
it's just
actually looking I'm actually looking to get on it. That's a whole other
okay.
problem.
Yeah, of course. But most doctors in Maryland, they can actually prescribe hormones without an endocrinologist. I know endocrinologists are really hard to get out here. But
hmm
with someone that understands how to do it, like a doctor can do it with the blood work.
yeah, like
Thank
Yeah.
you
family
for that.
medicine is a great bet. Like family and like as internal medicine a lot of times can do it too, but I know just from a an activism standpoint, like family medicine is kind of like the driver in a lot of DEI related things. And so if you look for family medicine,
Oh,
you're more likely to find a clinic that'll be more
Yep.
affordable and probably will be able to help you. And
thank
Maryland's
you
Yep.
so
a
much.
great state for you to be in. So like they're
Yeah.
actually doing pretty well with their protections on that. So
And that's great.
Yeah. For sure.
Was there anything else you wanted to say? Because I don't want to hold you ladies up too long. Well, you ladies and gentlemen up too long.
Yeah. No, I appreciate you, Sasha, and I will plug this. JosieForMaryland.com. You can sign up to volunteer if you're close by to where my campaign is. I already got some
Hey, I
trans people
appreciate
on the
I
campaign.
appreciate that. I appreciate that. I'm
Yeah.
in Charles County. Hopefully, it's not too far. But I also
Yeah, it's
want to
not too
thank the
far.
line. I also want to thank the
Yeah.
channel, The Line in general, because there was a video that I watched unrelated where there was another trans woman. I think her name started with an A. Was it Aaron?
Yeah, Arden.
Um, Arden. I saw her and I felt
She
inspired. I
doesn't
was
even
like,
go here.
wow, she's. I was like, wow, she's pretty. Maybe I can reach that level one day on my journey.
Yeah, no, Arden is great transition goals. And
Yeah,
she can actually
she's a
hear you,
rock
by the
star in
way.
my
She's
eyes.
producing. Yeah, she
Say
she
that
she
yeah,
ca-
she's
actually can hear
producing.
you. Yeah, she's a producer. So you could say hi to her right now,
Hello.
as she's listening.
um, hello, Arden. You were actually one of the very first people I saw on this channel. I think you're cool. I think your snake's cool.
Thank you very
Yeah.
much.
Awesome.
but
Well, Sasha,
you all enjoyed the rest. Sorry.
I was gonna say you enjoy your rest of your day.
All right. You all enjoy the rest of your day as well. I'm sure I will be calling in again soon.
Yes,
Yeah.
please. Awesome. Well, you have a great rest of your day too, and we will talk soon. All right.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye bye.
All right. And that is the end of the calls. So yeah, that was a good show so far. And now we got
Yeah.
some super chats to go through. Do we know the winner of the poll? Do we have the poll results? What's going on here?
Give
No,
me a
we don't. Is it a
second.
surprise?
I think radical cisgenderism is winning by. I reject radical cisgenderism by like 8 points.
8 points. Okay, that's how it's going.
I did see I did get a sneak peek of one of the super chats that's from Mr. Boricua 10 and does not have apostrophes in it, and I was confused. I was confused by that. But maybe there'll be
Oh
some
God,
others
please don't let it be me.
mixed
Please
in.
don't let it be me. Oh, please. It's like 50-50 shot and I've only got it hit once. And yeah, so
It's not
anyways,
even a 50-50
and
chance. It's not even entirely a 50-50 chance because Arden will sabotage it occasionally and give it to whoever
no,
she wants to read it.
well,
So,
I would never do
she
anything like that.
sabotages.
Anyway, here's the
Of course she
scoreboard.
just yeah. I like these odds. This is how the campaign is. Everybody, make sure you donate to make sure that we beat these odds.
Team Josie better get
So
working.
Josie for Maryland.
Yeah.
I need every dollar I can get to beat these odds. All right, friends. So $5 from Zurith Moonpaul. My only one today. Ha. Hope it's a good day. Hope y'all are wonderful. Hashtag Team Josie. P.S. What is your favorite Bard subclass? I'm making a chief one. So I want to say Eloquence Bard, but I feel like Eloquence Bard is pretty much broken. So I do like a good Glamour Bard because I like the stylistic idea of like just being this Glamour Bard, of like just being like this fashionista that is just like always like, and I have to use like useless cantrips like the light orbs just so they can spotlight you, and it's like glamour. Like it's just like I don't.
I like lore bards. Lore bards are my favorite.
Well,
But
yeah, lore bards are good. Those are
yeah.
good too. Yeah.
$5 from Joshua Everett. I owe Luxander $5. I told it I was sure Josie would call out sick and Lex would have to take over the show today. Hashtag Team Josie. Well, yeah, you definitely lost that bet because Josie is here. She is here.
Yes,
She made it.
and it's negative 997. All right, like you already set me at a deficit, so thank you.
There's no favoritism here at all. Zero favoritism. Yeah.
$10 from Sapphic Hazard, Josie/Memphi 2028, or barring that Josie/Memphi for TACIS at hashtag Team Josie.
I don't know, Josie. Do you know Memphi? We had her on a.
Don't know Memphi.
Okay,
Oh, the guest.
We had her on a Cus I Wanna last week. She's here in Texas, and she's doing a lot of like active. She's been testifying at bill hearings here in Texas, and she's gotten kind of viral on a few of them. Yeah, we had her on an episode. She was pretty great.
All right. Well, tell her to sign up for my candidate interest form, and then I can do some coaching. It'd be a good time.
30 shekels from Poetical Irony. Shout out to the unofficial pre-TACIS Off the Line online poetry jam. Though today it was just me. I'm going to be there next week, 90 minutes before the TACIS stream. Hashtag Team Josie. PS. Poetical, not political. Yeah. Yeah. And I guess this person is doing poetry jam time in Discord before the show. So
nice.
Go hang out there to do some poetry.
And it's 995. Arden, if you're gonna put me in a deficit, at least be accurate in your counts. Come on, what's going on here?
Stop the vote. Stop the vote. Stop the count. Stop the count.
It's 5. It's 5. It's not 4. Thank you.
But it started at negative 999. So if I got to negative 995, wouldn't that mean it's 4?
Wait.
Yeah, that'd be.
Is it 4? Maybe it is 4. Yeah, you're right. You're right. You're right. It is 4.
How dare you?
She's trying to stuff the ballot boxes.
Well, Wait, you skipped one.
But
We didn't read that last one.
I'm sorry, you guys are
Yeah,
just
we
too
didn't use
slow
Ben.
at picking up the
It's
super chats
Ben.
on the page.
Is it me?
Okay.
£5 from
Yes,
Mystic
it's you.
Minds Analysis Tavern. Exploring gender is as like searching an old trunk in the attic. It's worth looking for even if you don't find anything new. Credit one topic at a time. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a great analogy.
Oh, and Zurith was saying it's a chef, not a chief. So a barred chef. Man, I guess a glamour would be pretty good. Or you could do like a sport. Wait, yeah, I guess that would make sense. Sorry, now I'm trying to think of like a barred chef. That's
Yeah,
like, but my mind immediately goes to Sanji from One Piece. So that's definitely not. That's a fighter, not a bard. But yeah. Anyway, sorry.
I think I found a way to get the pink trombone on a better audio source. You guys ready for this?
oh no.
It's like
Gonna make
it's like
me
Microsoft
so
Sam having the best coitus of his life. Like,
Yeah. I
Oh my
bet
god.
Matt loves living in a house with you right now, Arden. I bet there's nothing about that bothers him.
Oh my god, it's so
Yeah.
funny. It's so funny.
It's
It makes me
Microsoft Sam, like
cry.
having a great time. I'm proud. I'm proud of him.
Oh,
Oh my
amazing.
gosh. Okay. Next one, Arden calling us slow. You've been all right. There we go. $5 from Alishana Silverbow. We need to do something about the rampant cisgenderism that's taken over this country. The schools are turning our kids cis. Hashtag Team Josie. Yeah.
Yeah, SCOTUS wants to turn our kids cis, and cis people are responsible for
True.
the most violence in this country. So
That's true. That's true.
yeah.
Yeah. By far.
$5 from Rianu Keeves. I just want to say thank you for helping to educate me and people like me who want to learn and do better and be better. Hashtag I love you both and can't choose. Well, that's not a vote then, because we can't do fence sitting votes.
That's true. But we love you anyway.
We love you anyway.
$10 from Joshua Everett. Josie, how do you suggest I deal with the fear that past 2024 we actually are outnumbered by fascists and people who prefer fascism to a woman president? Thought it would fade with time. Hashtag Team Josie. I don't think that there's more of them. It's just how our political system in a voting process that isn't compulsory, meaning people have to vote. So therefore, campaigns are won by the people who are most motivated. So when you have more activists and more political people in the process, then you can win an election. So for example, I'll just use my race as an example. I need about 70,000 votes to win a primary in a county of 1.1 million people. All right. Like think about how wild that is. That will win me a primary, which will ultimately win me the general at 250,000 people. So the fact is, even though there is like more than 500,000 people who are registered to vote, only 70,000 people in a primary will make the decision on who wins the entire election. So it's really hard to say that there are more than another because there's just so many people who are just not politically engaged enough to vote. And it's our job as political activists to be able to get more people motivated to vote. And we have to run good candidates that help inspire people to want to vote. The Democratic Party failed at finding somebody that was inspirational enough. No matter how hard I tried as an individual to try to make Harris inspirational, I still fell on deaf ears, and we need better candidates. And that's how that works. But yeah, so don't feel despair, even though there's a lot of it. We can win these elections. We just have to have better candidates that help inspire more people.
Yep. £5 from Barbara Barrett. I can't donate to your campaign, but I can give a super chat. Hashtag Team Josie. And yeah, the reason Barbara's saying that is because just not in
Yeah.
the US. But
Not in the US. I understand. $10 New Zealand from Mountain Eucalyptus. Thank you for your kind words. I am for sure going to call again. Hashtag team Dr. Ben.
scoring system. See, I know what
Ben has multiplier.
I know what Arden's doing. Yeah, I know what Arden's doing. She just wants to see my Labubu. Like we know she wants to see my
in front
Labubu.
of everybody.
Yeah.
Oh my god,
Yeah.
he's very handsome.
Showing off my Labubu on camera. Yeah.
Looks like it came from a Beetlejuice bedroom, that's for sure.
It did,
yeah. Think this is you.
$4.99 for flight risk. Thanks for the talk. Y'all cleared up a lot. Thank you so much.
Aw.
For having the call.
Thanks. Yeah, it's super great. $5 from SB Rashi. Thank y'all for talking with me and giving me such good advice. I've started searching for him a new therapist in one of the surrounding larger towns. Great. And thank you for calling as well. I had some really great calls and you're awesome. Thank you, Susan. I think it was Susan. Was it Susan? I'm not sure. Maybe it was Susan. I'm not sure.
I think it was Sharon was her name.
Sharon. Yes. My apologies.
$5 from Mr. Boricua 10 without the apostrophes in this. What a lovely show today. Nothing but wholesomeness, genuine curiosity, and all-around adventuring upon a journey. Have a few pints on me. Hashtag Dr. Ben. You know what? I will have a pint tonight because Mr. Boricua 10 told me to. And it was in the generous gift of not making me do the accent. I saw one with the accent for later. We'll see who gets it.
No. $10 from Ace Arrow Anarchist. Questions for hashtag Team Josie. I'm running for Board of Education in my town. How do I walk the line between defending trans kids and being electable? Do I stress how few trans kids there are in my town or pivot to budget issues? Help. So when you are running for office, you should be talking to the people on the issues that they care about. So I'm sure that when you're out there and talking to people, you're very rarely going to talk to people saying, what about those trans kids? You're probably going to be talking about classroom sizes, talking about all of those type of things. Now, one of the things, if you are a trans person, if somebody says, hey, are you trans? You go, yeah, I'm trans, but I also want to make sure that the class sizes are smaller. I want to make sure that our education standards are good. I want to make sure whatever your issues are and whatever your Board of Education is dealing with is what you should be focusing on. So it is definitely something that you're going to have to work on, but make sure though that you put in your messaging in your general stump on your website that you defend the kids to be able to be free and not be bullied, and regardless of their identity, regardless of their race, regardless of all that type of stuff. So I wish you luck. I really hope you do well in your election, but it's definitely a fine line that you're going to have to deal with. But focus on the issues, and also be true to yourself and make sure that you do, when needed, defend trans kids. So yeah, it's a thin line. But also that's an 8 for me. Yeah, thank you. I hope that's helpful.
Just making sure she wins today. 10 pounds from Barbara Barrett. I think you guys do a really good job, and the quality of cisgender allies on the line give me real hope for the future. You are appreciated and loved. Hashtag Team Josie. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Not thank you for the vote for Josie, but thank you for the rest of it.
Yeah, thank you for the vote for Josie too.
I agree that the quality of the conversations is great. Somebody got really mad at you guys not giving Corey shit for saying transgenderism at the beginning of his call. And I was like, we do this all the time. Just give them a chance. Hold on. And sure enough, you guys had addressed it at the end, but I think they already left. They were pissed.
Oh no! Oh no! Yeah, we let us cook. Let us cook. You know, that's why we're here. That's why we're
Yeah.
host. £5 from Barbara Barrett. Sometimes you pass everyone, but the hardest person to pass for is for yourself. You will always see the person you were. Trust your friends. Yeah, that's true. Yeah. Passing is
Mhm.
yeah. Yeah, it's true. I swear my campaign team picks the worst pictures of me, but I just trust the process. It's fine. It's like really that photo, and I just like move on. I'm like, okay, I'm fine. I'm fine.
$5 from Bookworm. I'm partially androgen insensitive. What are your thoughts about HRT/estrogen therapy? For me, I've thought about trying a low dose. I want feelings. You need to talk to your healthcare provider who knows your specific case. Uh, it's possible that your dose would just need to be adjusted. Um, but I would strongly recommend getting additional. I mean, I think regardless, you should go through a healthcare professional and not do it DIY anyway. So either way, you should be talking to a professional and let them kind of guide you on that. Just be open about that with them so that they can give you the proper dosages. So
£5 from Fuzzy Logic, pear-shaped cis men here. When I found out I could order shirts made to measure online, it was life-changing. Hashtag Team Venus.
oh yeah, Venus is coming back. I remember when I told Jimmy that somebody like was jokingly calling me Venus, like Jimmy thought it was hilarious. So he ran with that a little bit too. $20 from Nikki D. My anxiety goes down a tad when I'm able to tune in live. Hashtag Team Josie. Hey,
Aw.
if this is, I love that this is therapeutic for you a little bit. And we also love having you around here in the community. So thank you so much.
Yeah. Oh God. I blame Arden. I blame Arden. I blame Arden for all of the life's world's problems, including what's going on in this country. Yes, Arden, I know you're the mastermind behind it
Understandable.
all. Like, this is all Arden's fault. Everything nice I've ever said about you, I'm withdrawing everything. All right. So
She is Antifa, so.
$20 for Mr. Baricua, specifically for Josie. Oi, Josie was Maya wifey trying to get away with no reading. No one owe me British supers. Stop bleeding gall. Oi, why? Wanna a shaky off. No FE loving. Shall read. Hashtag Dr. Ben on top of all of it. It gives it to you. Like, you understand, like, as a dyslexic person, all I see are the letters. I see YTOTHOYYA Saki off. No FY love Y. That's what I hear in my head when I'm trying to do this.
You're doing great, Josie. $5 from Legally Mod. Arden, what the hell is wrong with you? Hashtag Team 34. I don't know what this is about. Is Team 34 like Rule 34? Are we talking about something
I
weird?
think
I'm 34 because that's when I transitioned.
Oh, that's
Oh,
right.
okay, you're
That's
Team
right.
34. Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think the what's wrong with you is relating to the pink trombone. I told people chat
Probably,
was
yeah.
disgusted by it, which is so funny to me. And I told them to look it up. I'm like, I promise it's not pervy. I know it sounds like it. And they were like, I learned my lesson on that one.
$5 Canadian from Quantum Nachos. I leave you guys alone for one episode, and what do I come back to? Blatant Dr. Ben erasure. Hashtag Team Dr. Ben. That's why you're Quantum Nachos, okay? Because of that, right?
Quantum
No
Nachos?
quantum chaos for you.
Which I saw Quantos Nachos in over on my personal channel recently, and yeah,
Oh,
you all can
nice.
go hang out over there. And I talk a lot more with it because my chat's a lot smaller over there. So if you want to harass me over in my own chat, you're welcome to do that too. So shouting out Quantos Nachos for that.
I love that. That was the
Yeah.
last super. Not very many today, but that is
Oh,
okay. And let's see. So radical cisgenderism is still the winner. So I reject radical
I'm going
cisgenderism.
to bring up my Labubu, my favorite Pokemon for this.
Beautiful.
This is my favorite Pokemon.
This is why
Best
this is
Pokemon.
why you're punished. This is why you're getting punished, man. I hope you know
It's the
this. Like,
Labubu. I have a
this is
long Furby in
justified
the other
punishment.
closet. I have a long
Is that your
Furby in the
second
other
favorite
closet.
Pokemon? Is that your second favorite
Yeah,
Pokemon?
it's my second
Yeah.
favorite Pokemon.
Okay.
It's a long Furby. Yeah.
All right, are we ready?
Yeah.
Are you ready to defend this,
Yeah.
Ben? Okay.
Yeah, I'm ready. I'm ready.
Charging up the clock in 3, 2, 1,
right.
go.
Yeah, the statement below, I reject radical cisgenderism because everywhere you go in this society, there are cis people. Everywhere on the street, I have to go outside and I have to know that most of those people I'm walking by are cis, and most of them have never questioned their gender identity ever in their lives. And it disgusts me. How in the world am I supposed to raise a child to become a good human being when there are cis people and cis het people making out in movies and holding hands on the street? Like, my queer children just cannot be exposed to that because they'll get turned into cis het people. And it's just they're grooming the children into being trad wives. Like those kids that are at home like playing house. Like, I remember playing house as a kid because I was groomed into being a trad wife. I never became a trad wife. But it's like kids shouldn't be at home like playing housewife. What kind of creativity and stimulation is that? Like, no, kids should be playing with rainbows. Kids should be going to drag queen story time. And we should think better of what we're giving our children. And definitely these cis people with their weird gender norms. Like, you can't tell my kid that, like, whatever they're gonna be, especially if it's cis. Like, I just do not accept that for our nation's children. So yeah, I reject radical cisgenderism.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
mean,
Iconic.
you never defined what radical cisgenderism is, though.
I think the
Yeah,
audience
but
knows, Josie.
they just know. They just know. You don't have to define things because it's just common sense. It's common sense, Josie.
We also got another super from Curtis Asante, £5. He said, I'm a cis black man. I have a few LGBTQ friends. I think I'm a good ally. Thank you for your lives. It helps me be the best friend I can be. Love you. So thanks.
Aw, that's really nice. And I will say this too. We are near. We've almost raised. Well, we raised $500 on the stream for the campaign. So if y'all want to find it in the goodness of
yeah.
your heart to give more, so we can hit our 1,000 mark. That's always my goal on these shows. Let's do it. Let's make it happen. So just
Yes.
throwing it out there. You know, we need a win. We need a win. All right. And every dollar helps so much. You don't even understand. Like, every dollar I raise here is like one less dollar I have to make a phone call to get. Like, you don't understand how good that feels.
Yeah. Hell yeah.
Awesome. Well, great. So, all right, friends. Well, there is no calling it now this week. But I will be here next week, and I'm not sure who else is here next week. Is it you, Arden?
Let me
should be
check the
Arden.
schedule right now. Yes, it is myself and Lex next week.
Oh, it's not me? Okay, well, I misread that calendar. Jeez.
Wait,
Alright.
is that right?
I yeah, okay, it's fine. I think I actually had something next week, so I'm actually kinda glad that it was alright, sounds great. Alright, friends, if you haven't joined the Patreon, if you haven't liked and subscribed, do that now. Join the Patreon as you get exclusive content and merch that you get to see, and you get to be put on this lovely list. Ben, why should people join the Patreon?
Because you get to have fun, cool events with hosts. Like, hosts sit there and will answer questions and chat with you. It's a great time. Definitely a great reason to become. Yep.
Definitely. Hi, friends.